Unbelievably, Angel Hernandez finally got a call right.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. By all means, call me Sully. I have been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now, and this is my sixth full season here as a host of the Locked On Podcast Network, specifically for Locked On MLB. But if you can't get enough of me, then guess what? I am the host of Locked On A's. And by the way, I've realized that there is a progression of my A's Cups I have here. This was from 2021. Let's go Oakland. So they clearly had thoughts of Oakland. This is from last year when they were clearly rooted in Oakland. There you go. And then finally, they're just A's. No Oakland, nothing. Just A's. A little more malleable there. Well, I do Locked On A's 5 days a week, so I do 10 episodes a week here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Why? Because I want to sell you things like eBay Motors, from brakes to exhaust kits and beyond. eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive with all the parts you need and all the prices you want. It's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Sorry, Blue Jays fans. And hey, follow us at Locked On MLB pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball. There's my Twitter handle. Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And if you want to post something on the social medias, make sure to put that hashtag Everyday Sully so we know that you're listening. Believe it or not, that actually kind of sort of matters. And just quickly, I'm going to do, no one got the trivia question right, and I'm surprised by that, but encouraged, because it means that you all aren't just cheating and just looking stuff up. I don't really care if you look stuff up. I can't help you on that. But the question was, who is the only player? Basically, I'll simplify the question: the only Atlanta Brave to ever hit a walk-off home run in the postseason. In Bobby Cox's great run as a manager, only one player hit a walk-off home run. Someone guessed Andres Galarraga. Great guess. Inaccurate. David Justice. Steve Colatero said David Justice. He had a game-winning home run in the clinching game of the World Series, but wasn't a walk-off home run. Roger Molina guessed Andres Galarraga. And someone else, I seem to have someone guessed Gary Sheffield. That would be Argonaut Comedy guest Gary Sheffield. Nope, the answer was Rafael Furcal. That's right, Rafael Furcal, who was not known as a great power hitter, hit a walk-off home run in the 2004 Division Series. So there you go. Hey, a bunch of people here on the comment section here, and let's see, baseball heaven gained an angel, and how thankful we should all be for it, says Jonathan Curran. Well, you got me right into today's topic, and that is Angel Hernandez. It's funny, Angel Hernandez was a controversial figure as an umpire. He was controversial because some people hated him and other people hated him. He was someone who was known for blowing a lot of calls, and he was it was always interesting when Angel Hernandez was the umpire. You know, when you have a conductor conducting an orchestra, and sometimes one conductor Seiji Ozawa is going to conduct differently than Arthur Fiedler, and whomever it is who's conducting, the conductor is going to conduct differently, right? That's the whole idea of it. You shouldn't have an umpire have that same effect on a baseball game. We shouldn't know who the umpire is. That's the beauty of what an umpire should be. Now, I do not think we should replace all umpires with robotics. I think that when you watch a ball game, most of the time the umps get the call right. And it's really egregious situations that you got to go to the instant replay. But when Angel Hernandez is there, the strike zone never makes sense. You've seen Angel Hernandez games where the ball is right down the heart of the plate ball. You've seen games where there's 2 or 3, like, I don't know, yards off of the plate. It's called a strike. And when he didn't get some of the assignments that he felt he deserved, whether for League Championship Series or World Series or All-Star games, he did indeed file a racial discrimination suit. And that was instantly dismissed because I think most people realized 2 things. His inability to call a strike consistently had nothing to do with the fact that he was born in Cuba, and the fact that the people who hated him were basically a united colors of Benetton. No matter what race, color, creed, or ethnic background you had, everybody was exasperated by Angel Hernandez. Now, he's been a controversial figure, and one of those situations where, like, how bad does he have to be to get fired? If someone's usually bad at their job, I've been fired. It's been when I've been bad at my job. Apparently, according to the USA Today article that I read, written by Bob Nightingale, the Major League Baseball Hernandez has gone 2 weeks of negotiating a settlement, and finally he stopped he umped his last game, and it's the whole thing. He wants to spend more time with his family and making incorrect calls at home. I don't know how much of that is real. I don't know whether or not he was fired and said, "Hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. Can you give me the dignity of saying I walked away?" Or whether or not he really is walking away, or whether or not he realizes that things like uh, you know digital unified strike zones are coming, or that he will eventually get fired when more people are reviewing the number of calls he gets that are just disgustingly bad. And I said, you know what? Yeah, let's work this out that I can leave. And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me why he left. It's just that he left. I'm tired of games where he's the ump and everyone's pulling their hair out. So look, if Hernandez is gone and it's because of some sort of agreement, I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to know who's umping the game, because if they're doing a great job, you never know. You never know. Now, I am all for a unified strike zone. I don't ever want to hear this ump calls the high strike. He doesn't call the low strike. What does that even mean? There's a strike zone. If the pitch goes into it, that's a strike. And if we have to use the little box that you first saw in DBS, and now we see it in real time, whether it's a strike or not, fine. Just then use that. Use that so and use that to call balls and strikes so that we know it went into the box. There's no arguing. I don't like arguing with umps. I don't like arguing over reality. If a pitch goes into the strike zone, that's a strike. If it's outside the strike zone, it's a ball. There's still the human element. The pitcher has to throw either a strike or a ball. And it shouldn't matter if you are a Cy Young contender or some schmuck they just called up from Worcester. If you throw a pitch into the strike zone, that should be a strike. It doesn't matter if you're a batting champion or someone who is a fourth string catcher with an OPS under 2. If you don't swing at a pitch and it's outside the strike zone, that's a ball. And I am all for the unified strike zone because it's equity. Throw a strike. We see the box. It's in there. And I don't want framing. Oh, the catcher pulled it back in there. No, it's got to go in the box. We have the technology to do it. Let's $6 million man this with the technology to do it. And I've been saying for years, the parameters we should have on instant replay is this. You get 30 seconds. And the people watching on all the Minority Report screens in New York of the games going on, you have an idea when they're going to call for an instant replay. Most of the time, the games are just an ebb and a flow. But oh, wait a minute. That might be a call. That might be a call. Get ready. Get ready. Rewind it to the point. And if they say call New York. Don't have it be that you're sitting there watching, reruns of Sanford and Son and had to be woken up with a crawler on your chest. Oh, what game you talking about? It's got to be ready. And you get 30 seconds. 30 seconds from when they go like this, 30 seconds, you get the call overturned, call confirmed, call stands, whatever it is. 30 seconds. And basically, in my humble opinion, if it takes more than 30 seconds to tell whether or not the call is right, F it, move on. It's close enough. It's close enough. I don't want it broken down like the Zubrutta film. Like, so wait a minute, one molecule was touching one molecule of the base. 30, it's supposed to erase things like the 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 Galarraga perfect game mistake, or the Don Denkinger mistake, or the completely underrated game 7 of the 87 World Series, where 3 critical calls were blown, and 2 of them were at home plate in a game 7 of the World Series, which was a 2-run game. Not a lot of people talk about the fact that the Twins won the World Series with home field advantage that they didn't earn, and a couple blown calls that went their way in the deciding game. 30 seconds. You get that. And we don't get Angel Hernandez anymore. I don't know Angel Hernandez. He might be a very nice man. And I'm very glad he was able to live his dream of being a Major League Baseball umpire. May we all live our dreams. But at some point, if you're not doing the job well, you got to move on. And I don't know, when you have 30 years of a sample size, might be time to say goodbye. Bye. No need to review. Passion, drive, excellence, patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Sorry, Canada. Hey, where's your hub? Where is the main place you are going to get your sports news? Make your switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you to bring the biggest stories of the day in all the world of sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is indeed your team every day. All right, it is time to take a look at the power rankings. And once again, these are not necessarily who's the best team, but where they rank in terms of whether they're moving up, whether they're moving down. And we'll take a good long look at each team, all 30 teams, ranking them bottom to top. Now, at the bottom, staying at the bottom, the White Sox. The White Sox just do not look good. The White Sox look like they're a mess. And today they got thumped by the Blue Jays 7-2. Things are not looking good for the Chicago White Sox. And I think because we're now past the Memorial Day point, you're going to start to see some of the White Sox traded away. At number 29, I have the most confusing team in baseball, and that's the Colorado Rockies. There's sometimes the Rockies are beating really good teams, and there's sometimes they're losing to the A's, and sometimes they look absolutely terrific, and sometimes they look grotesque. I can't figure out what they are, and I see them losing 100-some-odd games, even though they catch people off guard. Number 28, I have the Angels. And you know what? I could have flip-flopped the Angels or the Rockies, but you know what? This is just how I'm doing things. And, of course, tonight the Angels wound up winning a surprising game against the Yankees. But don't let that fool you. This team just doesn't seem to know what's happening right now. Number 27, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to put the A's. Now the A's won against Tampa, and they recently won a series against Colorado, but they lost that series to Houston, and they went through the horrible stretch in that grotesque road trip. I just hope they just stay afloat and just be a little bit ahead of the Angels. At number 26, you got the Marlins. And the Marlins are actually starting to turn some of their game around. They've won some games recently. They got shut out by San Diego today. But there's not enough talent on that team, and they're going to be trading away teams left and right. The Mets. I don't know what to make of the Mets. They're at number 25 right now. They lost 2 games of a doubleheader to Los Angeles at home, where they were outscored 8-2 in the 2 games combined. Again, this is a situation where every team, we're going to go through a stretch of teams where they're completely interchangeable. I don't know, they're all teams that are going to be hovering around 500 or about 5 games below that. That includes the Washington Nationals, who sometimes look pretty good and sometimes look downright awful. Today they got shut out by the Braves, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. But they can't seem to get anything going, even though they have some talent. And number 23 is the most disgraceful team in baseball right now in so many ways, the Toronto Blue Jays, who did win today against the White Sox, but they can't get anything going. They lose in games they have no business losing. And are they really considering blowing the team up and trading away the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors of the world before they make a managerial change? I don't understand it, and neither do you. They're the biggest disappointment. They should be a big pennant contender instead of selling their team away. And the fact of the matter is they're a losing record, and they're probably going to finish with a losing record unless they do something drastic. Oddly, at number 22, I have the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champs. Can't seem to get on a roll. Now, they wound up beating Arizona today, something they're pretty good at doing. But there's no consistency with this team. At number 21, and again, remember, a lot of these rankings are completely interchangeable. Number 21, you have the Reds, another team I have no idea what to make of them. They went on a grotesque, horrific stretch and then swept the Dodgers. They're not a good team yet, but they're a good team flavored product. You get the sense that maybe they'll turn it on. And every time you think that, like the great stretch they had in that series against LA, then they go to St. Louis and get whumped 7-1. I don't understand this team. There's too much talent on the squad to have them really be this bad, but here we are. At number 20, you have the Pirates, who have talent. They also have 11 blown saves. You can't have that. That can't be allowed. Now, they didn't blow a save today because their game got rained out in Detroit. At number 19, you got the Diamondbacks. The defending NL champs are sitting there with a losing record despite a lot of talent, and not sure how things are going to turn around anytime soon. The Tigers are at number 18. They could pitch well. They can't hit unless, of course, they're playing the Toronto Blue Jays. God, Reese Olson has 1 win and a sub-2 ERA. That's the Tigers in a nutshell. The Rays are at number 17, and the Rays are quickly becoming the Blue Jays South. They're a team that should be doing very, very well, thank you very much. Instead, they have a losing record and just got shut out by Oakland. They need to start getting on a roll. Yes, I know Tampa Bay has had injuries and everything like that, but they need to start winning if they want to climb back into this playoff hunt. At number 16, you have the very strange Chicago Cubs, who have fallen out of a playoff spot, and I do start to count that after Memorial Day. And they won today a critical game against the Milwaukee Brewers. Each time they face each other, that's the head-to-head matchups that they need to have. But, I got to see what's going to happen with this club. They got to start putting together some wins soon. By the way, a team that's putting together some wins now that look dead from the neck up with the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're at number 15. And they were terrible in mid-May, and suddenly they've climbed back up and are starting to be really, really competitive. In today's game, they wound up beating the Reds and are now within a game of 500, which, lest we forget, is enough to get you into the postseason these days. All right, that's the bottom half of the power rankings that we're flying through today. We come back, we're going to talk about the upper half, of which there's going to be some teams you think, well, wait a minute, what makes them better? I'm telling you, there's a middle section of teams that are all clumped together. Let's talk a little bit of our friends over at FanDuel. I'm telling you, this is the best time of the year to be a sports fan because you have the NBA playoffs. Are the Timberwolves going to give the Mavericks a little run for their money, but see who faces off against the Celtics? And the Stanley Cup finals are starting to look like we're getting a sense who's going to be in there. FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring a big win home for yourself. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, that's America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has begun, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Day now available on the free Fire TV channel app. All right, some people may disagree with this one here, and I thought long and hard about this, but I have the Astros at number 14. The reason I have them there is I just feel like pretty soon that talent's going to come together. Now, they lost to Seattle today, and there's still several games under 500, but I think there's too much talent on that team, and you're starting to see some of it gel. And do you know what? They were 1.12 games under 500, and now they are 6 games under 500. They're chipping away and chipping away, and I'm sorry, I'm not ready to write them off yet. At number 13, I have the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are getting a big boost from Rafael Devers, who's playing out of his mind. And today, the Red Sox won 8-3 against Baltimore, in Baltimore. So the Red Sox are starting to show that they are, I don't know, a potential contender. They're above 500, which, lest we forget, might be enough to get you a playoff spot. At number 12, you have the San Francisco Giants, who won a dramatic 1-0 game against the Philadelphia Phillies and have been the comeback kids, winning a whole bunch of come-from-behind games and have found themselves in a playoff spot at this point. Number 11, the Padres, who are also at a playoff spot, and they've had some injuries, and they've had some people who haven't been producing for them. So just imagine if Manny Machado starts to hit for them. They are already above 500, and they are already one of the playoff teams right now. There's nowhere to go but up. Number 10, you got the Mariners, who won today and are a division winner, but they're just barely above 500, and they do need some help. But the fact that they have taken advantage of the slow start of Texas and Houston to climb to the top of the spot, give them credit for that. Number 9, I have the Minnesota Twins. Twins beat the Royals. That's an important win because the Royals are a very good team this year. The Twins sometimes look unbeatable and sometimes look, very beatable. But the fact of the matter is they're a talented top 10 team. At number 8, you got the Brewers. And the Brewers are still in first. They lost the extra inning game to the Cubs this afternoon, but they still got the talent and they're still on top. And until someone knocks them down, they still have the pitching to do very well. At number 7, you got the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are, of course, one of the most talented teams in all of baseball, but they had a huge blow losing their MVP in Ronald Acuna Jr. They wound up shutting out the Nationals, and they have terrific pitching. Fried pitched great. Of course, Sale's become a Cy Young contender. They will fix that. They have some good players already playing the outfield, and I think they'll wind up making a deal for Pham. At number 6, Bobby Witt Jr.'s team, the Kansas City Royals, lost to the Twins today, but the Royals are 12 games above 500 and are looking like a really well-rounded team with good pitching at the top. Now we go to the 5 elite teams. At number 5, you got the LA Dodgers. Sometimes the Dodgers look quite vulnerable, like when they got swept by the Reds, but then they come right back and punch the Mets twice in the face today with their sweeping that doubleheader. They're filled with talent and they're going to do just fine. At number 4, you have the Orioles. The Orioles look very good. Now, keep in mind, these top 5, they can be arranged any which way. The Orioles, who lost today to the Red Sox, but they sometimes look absolutely perfect. And I stand by that. I do believe they're going to wind up winning the division. Right now, they're not in first, so that puts them down at number 4. At number 3, you have the Guardians, who basically for a period of time were unbeatable. They went on that wild 9-game winning streak, and for a couple of days had the best record in the American League. Right now, they're playing like a fantastic ball club, and they won a slugfest in Colorado 13-7. And then you have the 2 teams. When you get to the top, basically it's interchangeable, as is this year. At number 2, I have the Yankees. The Yankees and the Yankees could very easily be number 1. They lost today to the Angels, but they have such great pitching from Heel, from Rodon, from a bunch of their pitching staff is unbelievably deep to the point where Garrett Cole can come back whenever he wants. And Aaron Judge got off that slow start, but guess what? He is hitting home runs, and he looks terrific now. And of course, Soto can ask for all the money in the world. And my number 1 is Philadelphia. And again, my number 1 this last week could very easily have been Cleveland, New York, or Philadelphia. I'm just going Philadelphia right now because they are still my pick to win the World Series. They still look terrific. And they are a lock to win 100 games, even if they get injuries. So there you go. There is your power rankings for the day. In review, let's go and let's review the top 10 are Phillies, Yankees, Guardians, Orioles, Dodgers, Royals, Braves, Brewers, Twins, and Mariners. 11 through 20 would be Padres, Giants, Red Sox, Astros, Cardinals, Cubs, Rays, Tigers, Diamondbacks, and Pirates. And 21 to 30, Reds, Rangers, Blue Jays, Nationals, Mets, Marlins, A's, Angels, Rockies, and White Sox. I'm sure some of you think that I have the Astros up too high. I'm sure some of you think I have the Rangers too low. Maybe you're right, and I'll fix that next week. All right, let's go through the trivia question. The trivia questions will go back to Angel Hernandez. Angel Hernandez was a umpire in 2 different World Series, but only once was the home plate umpire. Which World Series game featured Angel Hernandez as the home plate umpire and an iconic home run that is constantly put into highlight reels for a certain superstar? Which World Series game did Angel Hernandez umpire from behind home plate and witness firsthand a superstar's iconic World Series home run? Put your answer right down there on YouTube or at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and make sure to subscribe to Locked On A's, and you can hear some cool shows we're doing there about the A's. Saying goodbye to Angel Hernandez in any which way, as long as we say goodbye. And doing the power rankings. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.